Monday is the day that you put out the bins. And it's also the time of the week that I most often talk to my neighbour. If we just happen to time it right, that we are both taking our bins to the top of the driveway at exactly the same time, which was the case for me last night. And then you've got to do that awkward small talk dance with a neighbour. I don't know if you can relate. And so late last night, it was, so how's it going? Yeah, good. You? Yeah, good. Had a good weekend? Yeah, fabulous. What you been up to? Watching a lot of Olympics? I'm not proud of this, but I lied to my neighbour at the top of my driveway late last night. And I says, yeah, Olympics, really good. Haven't really watched much of it at all. However, it's just the time zone thing doesn't work for me, and I'm just not into sports. However, somebody who has spent much of a weekend watching the Olympics, Steph Johnston from Barnabas Aid, kia ora, good morning.
Kia ora. Yeah, much of my time is I don't get up in the morning usually for anything.
Yeah.
But I've been getting up at like 5 in the morning to watch Olympics, which
Wow.
is so unlike me.
Wow.
But I just love the Olympics.
I mean, it is kind of cool, and it's a live show, and it's a spectacle, and it's got lots of drama and all sorts of things. I'm just not really into sport, but just wanting to talk to you about the Olympics. If I didn't have an Olympic correspondent, you'd definitely be in the running. Just saying, you'd definitely be a bronze
I'm in.
medalist. Exactly. But the thing about the Olympics, I suppose, is it allows us to get a snapshot of the world. You know, if you're a country and any of your citizens have sporting skill, you can have a flag and you can appear in the opening ceremony and you can take part. It's in some ways, it's the great leveler. You know, the Olympic Games is a celebration of this brotherhood of man, which is an overtly sexist statement. But anyway, this wonderful family of nations all together celebrating the greatness and achievement of humanity. Well, I think that's the theory, is it?
Yeah. Like we're one big happy family
Oh,
when
yeah,
actually
exactly. But no, but
yeah.
I mean, I love loved, gosh, no, that's probably the wrong word. But the opening ceremony, Algeria, who used to be, of course, under the French jackboot of colonial oppression, and who protested against that, there in the opening ceremony, commemorating the time that they protested against French colonial oppression and lots of people got shot. That was in the actual
Yeah.
opening ceremony of the Olympics. So
Yeah.
yes, there's an opportunity to be on the same stage, but it's not a level playing field, really, is it?
No, not at all. I mean, even countries like Russia that it's not they're not officially recognized as being there. So the Russians who are there participating in the Olympics are even called a neutral country or neutral participants.
Yeah.
So not allowed to hold their flag, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of outcry about those, and sometimes these guys are like teenagers who
Yeah.
are there participating and not allowed to ride on the boats that were going down the river and things like that. So it's interesting because even though we think about the Olympics being this big, like I said before, one big happy family, it's not really. There's still a lot of politics that happen at the Olympics and a lot of outcry about certain things. And
Yeah.
for me, I think what I am the most interested in is that working in my job with the persecuted church, many of these countries that are represented are some of the biggest persecutors of Christians. And so when I am watching the Olympics, it's hard because you want to root for and cheer for these people who are celebrated as the heroes of their country and things like that and have great talent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, in the back of my head, I think, oh man, there's some really nasty things going on in these countries, and yet we kind of just overlook it for the sake of the sport, you know?
I mean, what does it take to get deflagged at the Olympics nowadays? I mean, you mentioned Russia, and that's an example,
Yeah.
and what's happening in Crimea is certainly absolutely awful. But North Korea is there waving their flag. I mean, worst human rights record within living memory,
Yeah.
and yet they're there, they're competing. They'll probably win some medals.
Yeah, it's like it's that kind of thing that there's this a sense of a tiny bit of hypocrisy, I think, with that the world watching. And for me too, I'm always challenging people to learn more about how what's going on in these random countries
Yeah.
that sometimes we don't even know where they are on the map if you're not really good at geography. And sometimes we don't know how Christians are persecuted in these places. So it's important for us to think through this time of the year, and only comes around every 4 years, how we can, as Christians, both celebrate the Olympics. If you're a sports watching person like I am,
Yeah.
we celebrate the Olympics and what it represents, but also we're wide-eyed as we watch the Olympics, wide-eyed about what's going on in countries like Ethiopia, where there's starvation happening.
Yeah.
That these things, for me, it'd be great to be able to use the Olympics as an opportunity to pray for these countries where Christians are struggling and are persecuted and starving and all of that stuff. Like,
Yeah.
to go through the next week that the Olympics is on and just really focus on how we can come alongside of our persecuted church family, watching the Olympics even.
Yeah. There is something which I find difficult to balance, honestly, because one of the things where there isn't a level playing field is finances. Some countries have got more money, and the United States and China and there's a handful of others will do very well because they've got the money to put into the sports programs so people can do this professionally, and they'll get perhaps more than their share in the medal tally, and to an extent, good on them. But it's also the case that there's only really a small handful of countries that can afford to throw in Olympic Games anymore. And
Oh, yeah.
and hey, given that there are millions, if not billions of dollars spent putting the Olympic Games on, some of the countries represented at the Olympic Games are from parts of the world that are well below the poverty line, and some of the people competing would rather have the money to care for the people in their village than to spend it at the Olympic Games. There's a little bit of a disconnect there. We're celebrating humanity by racing around a track rather than feeding the world and solving some problems.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was just saying about Ethiopia.
Yeah.
You've got these people in Ethiopia who every day for them they're not celebrating the Olympics. They're mourning the loss of loved ones because of starvation.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of it is hard to watch stuff. Now, I feel like I don't want to go down the Debbie Downer lane of the Olympics.
Okay,
I don't
that
want
could
to
be me.
do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I understand completely what you're saying, Andrew, and I feel the same way about these things. And I guess it's hard to balance that heartbreak that you have for the world, and then also try to celebrate something that is meant to be celebratory. So how do we do that as Christians? How, like I said, eyes wide open. Let's go into this eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Understanding that there is, like you said, the financial instability of a lot of countries where the money that it costs to do an opening ceremony in Paris would feed multiple thousands of people.
Yeah.
Um, but that's our world at the moment. We don't think about those things.
If we didn't waste money on the Olympics, we'd find something else to waste it on, honestly.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's why organizations like Barnabas and, other organizations within New Zealand, where they're helping to help those people. It's good to donate to organizations like that to help in those situations. So there's a lot of things we can do, and how we can balance it out, I guess.
Yeah.
I think there's a balance that has to happen.
One of the things I do love about the Olympics is there is a leveling aspect to it. You've got these big US college teams or parts of the world where children are trained in gymnastics since the age of 4, and these huge programs and a whole bunch of money involved. And then you have a guy from North Africa somewhere who just loves running, and he beats them all. He doesn't even have the right kit, and he's never been in shoes before, and he's clearing the field. You have so many stories like this. I think the one of the big ones from this games is the guy on the shooting team, and now
The Turkish guy.
the Turkish guy, yeah, exactly. And you have all these sort of steampunk lenses and things now that you got to have, and you got to have all this fancy equipment. He's just standing there in a t-shirt, closing one eye, looking at the target, and he's cleaning up. There is something, I suppose, about this which is a little bit of a leveler, which says that the value of humanity isn't financial. It's not a cultural thing. that we celebrate the underdog, I suppose.
Yeah, a lot of times you do, and you do have that, like the guy. There's so many memes about the guy from Turkey,
I am.
um, just all over. But it is really cool to see people, normal, ordinary people, that the talent, it showcases talent, and it
Yeah.
showcases the natural giftings that God has given them, whether they realize it's a gift from God or not. It's showcasing that. So there is that. Um, you lay it all down on the line when you're competing, and I think that's what I love about sports too. Is that
Mm-hmm.
it's this it's this part of us that you put it all out there, you lay it all down on the line, and you put everything into that. And even the Bible talks about running the race
Yep.
with perseverance. And so we think about that when we're watching these. Like this morning, I watched the fastest man in the world run.
Wow.
100 meters in less than 10 seconds. Can't even go down the hallway in less than 10
Exactly.
seconds.
I couldn't fall off a cliff, honestly, that fast.
So true.
Although, I'm getting a little bit of momentum as I get older. Now, with this type of thing, just wanting to wrap up with this, because there are also people at the Olympics who are persecuted for their faith. They're from parts of the world where it's difficult and dangerous to be a Christian. Now, a few years ago, at least, France was a Christian country. There's people of all faiths and none represented at the Olympics. There is something almost like from the end of the book of Revelation about this, where you got people from every tribe, nation, and tongue gathered together. Not that they'll, I don't want to get into the theology of whether or not there'll be people of multiple faiths in heaven. There's a slippery slope. But actually having people who wouldn't normally get on, put that to one side and compete together, there is, I suppose, something to celebrate in that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it is one place in the world where it's meant to be. There's meant to be no politics. There's meant to be no hatred. It's all done in love. You support, you care for each other, you are kind to each other.
Yeah.
And there's something special about that. And I think for me, the biggest challenge that I have kind of challenged myself with while watching is to remember that there is still good in the world, that God
Yep.
is still in control, and that someday every knee shall bow, every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. And the Olympics is one of those things that you just get a small piece of heaven, of what heaven could be like, and heaven on earth. And I think for us, my thing is praying. So one thing I do is I pray for these countries as
Yep.
I'm watching. I pray for Ethiopia. I pray for Myanmar. I pray for Azerbaijan. The places like that there are a lot of persecution, and I want to challenge everybody listening to, pick up one of our prayer booklets and
Yep.
start praying through that. We have one that's specifically country focused, and you can get that online. Just download it and go through and pray for the countries that you're watching in the Olympics. And if you're not watching the Olympics like you, Andrew, you can still pray as well.
Exactly.
Still pray for these countries, still pray for our brothers and sisters, and take that challenge yourself.
Maybe we should make that an Olympic event, actually. I mean, honestly, Steph, if breakdancing can be an Olympic event, why not intercessory prayer?
I know.
Let's make prayer an Olympic event, and of course you can get those.
Get a gold medal in prayer.
Well, a gold crown, perhaps. BarnabasAid.org for more information about the wonderful resources that you have, and again, a focus on different countries and different things to pray for. Do check it out, barnabasaid.org.nz. Stephanie, thank you so much for what you do. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Andrew. Have a good day.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.